Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to look past the products, past the business plans of a huge global company, and really get into the mind of its co-founder, Rich DeVos. What we're talking about is the philosophy, the core vision that he built not just a company on, but his entire life. So when you hear the name Amway, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably products, maybe the business model, right? But what if that's not the real story at all? What if the whole business was just a way to deliver a much, much bigger idea? And you know what? That's exactly what Rich DeVos himself said. Back in 2004, he was speaking in Tokyo, and he laid it all out. He said, look, he wasn't there to talk business mechanics. He was there to share a philosophy, a completely new way of looking at your own life. So yeah, let's dive into that. And that brings us right to our first section, a new vision for life. You see, before there was ever a company, before any products were sold, there was this one single decision that DeVos and his partner Jay Van Andel made. And honestly, it set the stage for everything that came after. Okay, so from the very beginning, DeVos saw life as having these two very different paths. You've got the traditional path, right? Get a job, someone else is in charge, they tell you what to do. But he and his partner, Jay Van Andel, they just rejected that. They said, nope. They chose ownership. They wanted to be the ones controlling their own lives, taking full responsibility for their own future. And you got to understand, this wasn't just about what job to get. It was a choice about how to live. Now, to really get this philosophy, we've got to understand the man behind it. And for Davos, there was this one huge life event that completely shaped how he saw business, people, and, well, everything. All right, take a look at this timeline with me. It really maps out his journey. As a young guy, he and Jay make that pact. We're going to be entrepreneurs. Then, at 23, boom, they stumble upon the business concept that would become Amway. But look at this right here, 1997. He gets a heart transplant. Can you imagine? So when he's up on that stage in Tokyo at 78 years old, that experience, it's not just a memory, it's become this incredibly powerful metaphor for his entire philosophy of doing business. And that experience is what led him to this idea he called the business of the heart. And the concept is so simple, but it's also really profound. He realized the business was never really about the sales numbers or the bonuses. Fundamentally, it was about building real relationships, about learning to genuinely, truly care about other people. You know, after his transplant, DeVos would joke around that having a woman's heart made him more sensitive. But behind the joke, he was dead serious. He felt that this whole experience connected him to the real source of energy you need to tackle life's challenges. For him, being successful meant your whole heart had to be in it, not just in what you do, but in the people you're doing it with. So this philosophy, this business of the heart, it wasn't just a nice idea he talked about. He actually built the entire company's architecture on it. He created these 4 founding principles, and the whole point was for them to be like a rock for people to stand on, especially when they felt doubt or felt like giving up. And here they are, the 4 pillars: freedom, family, hope, and reward. Think of these as the company's compass. So let's break down what each one of these actually meant in the real world. First up, freedom. Now, DeVos was really clear that this business was born in a time when the very idea of individualism was being challenged all over the world. So this wasn't some fluffy, vague concept. It was a core foundational belief. And this quote just nails the whole idea. He believed, deep down, that the power of regular people deciding to lift themselves up was always going to be stronger than any big, controlling system trying to tell them what to do. So what does freedom look like in practice? Well, for starters, it's the right to join the business or the right to leave it. No strings attached. It's the power to actually control your own life. But it goes so much deeper than that. It's about giving you the chance to do things you never, ever thought you could do. It's about believing in yourself enough to go way further than you ever imagined was possible. Okay, second principle, family. For DeVos, the family wasn't just important, it was the fundamental building block of society. And he was determined that his business would reflect that and hopefully even strengthen it. And this wasn't just talk. This principle is literally built into the company's DNA. Husbands and wives are encouraged to work side by side as a team. When there are award trips, both spouses are invited. And just look at the company structure itself. It's remained privately owned by the two founding families, DeVos and Van Andel, and leadership has been passed down to their sons. The third pillar is hope. And this one goes right back to his own origin story. In his own words, he and Jay started out as just a couple of poor guys who simply had hope that they could do better. And that's exactly the opportunity he wanted to offer to other people. But again, for DeVos, hope wasn't just a code word for money. It was about a total shift in your mindset. It was about making a conscious choice to spend your time with people who are looking ahead, who are positive, instead of just complaining about the past. By doing that, you don't just enlarge your bank account, you enlarge your entire life. And that brings us to the final principle, reward. Now, DeVos was crystal clear that reward is absolutely essential. But he always insisted that it comes in two forms, and both are equally important. So on one side, yeah, you have the tangible rewards, the money, the bonuses, the trips. That stuff matters. But just as vital is the intangible reward, recognition. The simple, powerful act of being part of something where people actually appreciate you and acknowledge the work you're putting in. So after laying out these four massive pillars, DeVos brought it all home. He distilled everything down to this incredibly simple, powerful message of encouragement. And he told it through two stories from his own life. The first story he told was about his high school Bible teacher, a guy named Dr. Greenway. In his yearbook, this teacher wrote a little note to him. Now, DeVos admitted he wasn't some star student, but those words, they planted a seed of leadership in his mind that he said he never, ever forgot. It just goes to show you the lifelong power of a single sentence of encouragement. And the second story, well, it brought everything full circle. It was a simple line from his own father that for DeVos just wrapped up freedom, family, hope, and reward all into one powerful idea. A deep, profound belief in the talents you were given. Remember, God gave you talents, and you can do it. That was it. You can do it. And in the end, that's the whole philosophy he was trying to share. It's not really about a business plan, is it? It's a message about human potential. And it kind of leaves us all with a question to think about. What talents do you have that maybe you haven't even discovered yet? Thanks for joining this explainer.